Christine Gawker will be reading the questions, I think, Dave will be playing the role of the witness.
Thank you. So being read by two of the lawyers in the law firm.
I'll just step back.
Okay. Mr. Rice, did you at one point work on the Bubba the Love Sponge show?
Yes, I did.
When did you work on the Bubba the Love Sponge show?
Rough dates would be May of 2005 to October, very end of October, November 2010. So roughly 5 years working for the Bubba the Love Sponge show.
Why did you stop working on the show?
My family had decided to make a move to an entirely different part of the country. So although I walked away from a decent salary and a good job, we wanted to relocate for a couple of years.
Where did you move to?
We moved to Vermont.
Was Bubba the Love Sponge your boss while you worked on the show?
Yes, he hired me and paid the paychecks.
What was your position on the show?
I was the chief broadcast engineer and did maintenance of his studio facilities.
What was your specific title?
Specific title would be chief engineer.
Did your position stay the same the whole 5 years you were there?
Yes, it did.
Or did it change?
It did stay the same the whole 5 years.
And as chief engineer, what kind of specific work did you do for the show?
I will try to keep it somewhat simple, but we started out with an empty building and turned it into radio and production facilities so they could broadcast a show for Sirius satellite radio. And I believe at that time it was just satellite radio. So basically took an empty building and turned it into a full recording, production, and broadcast facility.
And then the actual shows, what were your responsibilities? Did you have any responsibilities to get the show ready for air?
Yes, basically, because I don't like sitting around waiting for stuff to break, I got very involved in transcribing the show, in recording the show, archiving the show content, editing the show for playback, creating best of shows for weeks when we were on vacation, which benefited myself because if I made a best of show for a week, then I didn't have to come in that week. So I got very involved in just basically handling the content for the show and making sure that the distribution was as it should be.
What I meant was, after a show was aired, you would then sort of review what was played for possible inclusion in a best of or the archives. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
Okay. What would you do while the show was on the air?
While the show was on the air, I sat at my desk for the 4 to 8 hours that we were live per day, and I would monitor the recordings. I would have the show piped into one of my ears, and I would be able to communicate with the remaining crew with my other ear. And I was literally taking notes on every guest, keeping a log of dates and times and who was there, what the subject was, because quite frequently we would need to go back to something, and it was very handy to have someone sitting, listening, and taking notes.
Speaking generally, how would you describe Bubba's show?
If I were to do a quick comparison with a name everyone would probably know, I would say it's a shock jock morning show, very similar to a Howard Stern. But when listeners would compare the two, they would realize that it was entirely different. But that is what most people would tend to describe it as. This is a host-run show with a cast of characters around him that talks about current events, personal stories in their life, sports, news, pretty much anything that comes up when you are trying to fill 4 hours.
Did the show focus on sexual topics?
I would say that was a pretty high percentage of the content. Even on the terrestrial show, they would try and find ways to fit that sort of content in without going over the line. And that is probably one of their specialties.
And was that the case with the guests that would appear on the show, that they would be asked about sexual topics?
The conversation would tend to go that way. However, I believe Bubba was definitely intelligent enough to know when that wasn't going to fly with a guest. For instance, the governor of Florida would not be asked about his sexual preferences. That was something that was saved more for maybe sports players or athletes or musicians.
Talking about Charlie Crist or Jeb Bush?
I believe we had them both on the phone at some point, but Charlie Crist had probably been in studio, so it would have been Charlie Crist more frequently than Jeb Bush.
Is that something Bubba would know? Whether it was a guest you could get into sexual topics with?
He would definitely know that. but I think sometimes, depending how the interview would go, he may try to bring up a subject or two with someone that he wasn't really sure where it might go. Maybe he had a musician he had never met before. He would ask questions that, if he felt they were leading to a good conversation, they would keep pressing. If not, he would let it go.
Did you leave the Bubba show on good terms?
Yes, I did.
When you were on the show, you said earlier that Bubba was your boss. Did you work directly with him?
Yes, daily. Conversation, they would keep pressing. If not, he would let it go.
Did you leave the Bubba show on good terms?
Yes, I did.
When you were on the show, you said earlier that Bubba was your boss. Did you work directly with him?
Yes, daily. Went where, but based on the best of my recollection, I would say sometime in the dead of summer in 2006 would be when I installed one in his house.
How did it come to be the case that that job fell to you, to install security cameras in his house? Do you know why he didn't hire a contractor or handyman?
Yes, he actually had one or two personal handymen who were extraordinarily handy and would take care of a lot of things, from drywall to yard work to fix something with the car to pick up children at school. And they were quite busy, and I'm pretty sure one or both of them were more than capable of doing this. However, since it was sort of my expertise, running wires, setting up cameras, and Bubba was happy with the system at the studio, he just asked if I would do that, if it wouldn't be a problem, and would I be able to come by and do that. I said no, not a problem.
How many cameras did you install in Bubba's house?
I installed a camera system that came with 4 indoor-outdoor cameras, and these cameras went to a digital recorder with a hard drive, and they would record, I believe continuously. If not continuously, then they would record when there was motion detected in front of those cameras. Since I spoke with you last, I have remembered that the camera that I believe you are about to ask me about was actually not connected to that system. It was connected to a Sony DVD recorder, so it was not something recording at all times. And this would be a 5th independent camera from the security system I installed in the summer of 2006.
So I take it you are referring to the camera you installed in Bubba Clem's bedroom, correct?
That's correct.
And that is the one that was hooked up to the Sony DVD player?
Right. So initially I couldn't recall if that was just into the regular house system because it had several inputs. But then, like I mentioned, I started thinking a little bit more about it after talking to you, and I actually went through a bit of searching to find a recorder that would record to a DVD, had a screen on it, and was small in impact. And I don't recall the model or anything like that. I could probably find it. But so that one camera went to this system and could not record unless the DVD was inserted and someone physically hit the record button.
Where in the bedroom did you install the camera?
The camera was above a set of cabinets. Bubba's bedroom was quite large. The entire house was pretty big. And one section of the bedroom had a countertop and cabinets similar to what you might have in a kitchen, if my memory serves correctly. And it went up above the top of the cabinets.
And that camera did not record continuously, correct?
That's correct.
Did not. Someone had to specifically press record to get it to record, correct?
Correct. The DVD recorder was on the opposite side of a wall. It shared a closet, a walk-in closet, and the device would have to be wired up. A blank DVD would have to be inserted, and you would have to hit record in order to make that camera function.
Why did you install a different kind of camera in the bedroom as opposed to the other cameras that you installed in the house?
The request for the camera placed at the bedroom was at a different time. So after the house security system was installed for a while, maybe a matter of weeks, maybe a matter of months, Bubba made a request. Could I put one more camera in the bedroom? I chuckled. I did not necessarily ask why. I didn't necessarily feel it would be my position to say no. I had just installed the other cameras. And so it was not something that was tied into the other portion of it. I remember some discussion of, well, how can I get it to record? I said, well, you're probably not going to want it want this recording all the time? He said no. So I did the research and found the DVD recorder that we just discussed.
What did the camera in the bedroom look like?
I believed it was very small. I believe it looked like a motion detector or smoke alarm.
Was there anything on the camera that would indicate when it was recording?
There was not anything that would indicate when it was recording. I believe it had a flashing red light at all times, similar to a smoke detector.
Did it have the capability to record in the dark?
Not very well. I don't believe that I had any light vision. It would just use whatever light was naturally available. In other facilities, like the gym and studio, we had night vision, infrared cameras that were actually successfully helped solve the car break-in in our parking lot. But this camera was very low tech.
Do I understand from your testimony from earlier that the bedroom camera would automatically record on a disc once it was set to record?
It would not do anything automatically. It actually required a human being, to go and push the record button. This could not be set for timer record. This could not be set to automate in any way.
Did you show Bubba how to use the bedroom camera?
I believe that I did. Trying to think of the word to use here. One of my requirements when picking equipment that was going to be operated by any of the show's staff, including Bubba, was to have it be as simple as possible so I wouldn't get calls in the middle of the night or in the morning or afternoon asking how to use it. So the DVD recorder in question was extraordinarily simple, with stop and start controls and record controls very similar to a tape deck.
And Bubba wouldn't have to do anything to get the recording going external. He could put in a DVD. Once he hit record, it would end up on a DVD, correct?
The recording media was a DVD. That was the final result.
Okay. Did Bubba ever tell you not to tell anyone that he had a security camera in his bedroom?
No, actually he did not. I assumed some people were likely to see it because it was sitting right in his walk-in closet, which was not necessarily an off-limits area of his home.
Mr. Rice, when did you first learn that there was a sex tape involving Hulk Hogan and Bubba's ex-wife, Heather?
To be completely frank, when I saw a link in Drudge Report, the news aggregation site that I checked daily.
Were you working for Bubba's show at the time?
No, I was not. I don't remember the date that I saw this, but I had been working in Vermont for at least 2 years.
Do you have any specific recollection what story Drudge went to?
Drudge linked to, I believe, the Gawker.
Were you surprised to learn about the existence of a sex tape?
Yes, I was.
How so?
Well, there are some of the text on the Gawker page that was connected to the video snippet, I should say, because I believe it was only a few seconds long, mentioned that they had Bubba's voice was included on the tape. And that shocked me right off the bat, because that meant that he was aware of what was going on, and I had just never really considered that that was going on. So that was all kind of a shock to me.
So, prior to seeing this Gawker story, had you ever heard anything from Bubba about he and Heather having a relationship where Heather would sleep with other people, have sex with other people?
No, I had not.
At this point, Your Honor, we would move plaintiff's exhibits 231 and 248 into evidence. We would like to publish to the jury 2 photographs from those exhibits. I don't believe there's any objection.
Okay, great, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please consider these photographs as other evidence in the case. Thank you. And receive the evidence. Mr. Burton.
And then one thing we did not do was Boardman's deposition was introduce the emails that she testified about, was going to be plaintiff's exhibit 1
Any objection from the defense?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And Exhibit 149 and 443 will be received.
And now we'll play the videotape deposition of Tony Burton.
All right, and so everyone knows that tape.
March 2nd, 2015.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please consider this sworn testimony of Tony Burton taken on March 2nd, 2015, when Mr. Burton was under oath. Please consider this as other evidence in the case.
Raise your right hand, please. Swear or affirm the testimony of the case to be the truth, all truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. Just want to start for a couple seconds and talk to you a bit about your background. Sure. Where do you work? I work at Carmichael Associates. And what is your job there? I'm a talent agent. What is an agent do? What's that mean? Our main job is to get jobs for our clients. We represent them, and in the professional business, I work in the area of television and radio. And how long have you been an agent? 6.5 years. Or 7 years? 7 years. And just sort of generally, what kinds of people do you represent? So my area of television and radio covers broadcasters primarily, so that could be anyone who is a radio broadcaster, news anchor, reporter, sports broadcaster, or even someone going on a reality show like Dancing with the Stars. Did there come a time when you contacted A.J. Delario about a Hulk Hogan sex tape? I contacted A.J. Delario, yes. Do you recall generally when that was? It was roughly 2 years ago. The fall of 2012? I think that's right. At that time, Mr. Delario worked at Gawker, right? Correct. I'm going to show you the document that will mark as Exhibit 134. Do you recognize this document? I do. What is it? It's an email that I sent to A.J. Delario. And it was an email that was sent on Thursday, September 27th at 2:36 p.m.? Mm-hmm. Correct. Can you please read just the text of the email? Hi, AJ. I have a client that has a very significant DVD they want to send to you, but they're asking me to mail it to you for anonymity purposes. Can you provide me with an address or P.O. box that you can send me? What was the DVD? At the time, I didn't know exactly what the DVD was. Okay. But you knew it was significant? I was told it was significant, yes. And who was your client? Mike Calton. Who is Mike Calton? Mike Calton is a radio broadcaster in Tampa, Florida. And he works on the Bone? He works on 1, 2, 5 the Bone. Did your client actually have the DVD to send to Mr. Delario? No. Who had the DVD? I don't know who had it. I just know from my client that he did not, and someone was providing it to him. Providing it to him? Meaning that he told me that someone had a DVD, and he called me asking if he could get in contact with Gawker. I had a relationship with AJ, and so I reached out to him. And did Mr. Delario respond to you? He did. Do you recall whether that was by email? I believe it was by email. I'm going to show you a document now that we'll mark as Exhibit 135. Do you recognize this document generally? I do. Okay. And what I'd like to do is, what is this? This is an exchange between A.J. Delario and myself. Okay, so at the bottom of the first page, which is DBA 348 at the bottom right-hand corner, at the bottom there, this is the email that we just discussed that you sent to AJ on September 27th at 2:36. Immediately above it, AJ responds, right? Correct. And what does he say? He says, can you elaborate at all? And then walking up one email from that, you say, I can call you. Did you talk to Mr. Delario that day? I don't recall. Who was that guy?
Do you recall talking to him generally around this time period?
I recall generally around that time.
What do you recall about that conversation?
Not much except for explaining what the request was.
What do you mean by that?
That I had a client who wanted to have an address so they could provide it to send something to Gawker.
Did you say at that time whether the DVD had anything to do with the Hogan sex tape?
I don't recall what I detailed.
Do you recall anything else from that conversation?
I don't.
Do you recall what Mr. Delario's reaction was?
I don't.
Do you recall anything that he said?
I don't.
During that conversation, did you ask for any payment for the DVD?
I did not.
Did you suggest in any way that your client expected any payment?
I did not suggest that in any way.
Did you suggest that the person sending the DVD expected payment?
I did not suggest that in any way.
Did you mention any payment for the DVD?
None whatsoever.
Did you ever receive any payment from Mr. Delario or Gawker having anything to do with the Hogan sex tape?
None whatsoever.
Did you give any instructions to Mr. Delario about what he needed to do with the DVD?
I did not.
Did you tell him he had to post video from the DVD on the Gawker site?
I did not.
Did you tell him what he needed to post?
I did not.
Did you tell him what not to post?
I did not.
Is it fair to say that as far as you were concerned, Mr. Delario could do whatever he wanted with the DVD?
Could you do it? I gave him no instruction on what to do with it.
Do you recall ever telling Mr. Delario at any point who your client was?
I don't recall specifically, but I don't know. I presume I did, but I don't recall specifically.
So you just don't have any recollection one way or the other?
Not about the details of it, I don't. Because I was, like I said, I was trying to get an address.
Do you recall whether Mr. Delario asked you who was sending the DVD?
I don't recall.
And did you know who was going to be sending the DVD to Mr. Delario?
I did not.
At any point, did you know who sent the DVD to Mr. Delario?
I did not.
At any point, did you tell Mr. Delario who sent the DVD?
I did not.
It was sent completely anonymously as far as you know.
Correct.
Did you know where this package was being sent from?
I did not.
Did you know when the package would be sent?
I did not.
Did Mr. Delario provide you with an address where the DVD could be sent?
He did.
Did he give that address to you over the phone?
I believe it was by email.
I'm going to show you the document that we'll mark as Exhibit 136. Do you recognize this document?
I do.
Is this the email that you were referring to where Agent Delario provided you with this address?
Yes.
So this is, just for the record, this is a document that's DBA 350 to 352. It's an email that Agent Delario sent to you on September 27th, 2012 at 2:15 p.m., right?
Correct.
After receiving this email, did you do anything with this address?
I provided it to my client.
Anything else?
No.
I'm going to show you a document. And we're going to mark as 137. This is a document that's base labeled DBA 65 through 68. Do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
It's an exchange between myself and AJ Delario.
Is this when you followed up with Mr. Delario?
It is.
So, going down to the bottom of the first page, 65, this picks up the email chain that we just talked about. If you turn to 66, with the address. Then You sent an email, it looks like, on October 2nd, 2012, right? At the bottom of 65, yeah.
October 3rd. October 2nd, yeah.
And you asked whether he received the package, right?
I did.
Why did you follow up with him at that point?
My client asked if he received the package.
Okay. And then at the top of the page, in the very top email from October 3rd, 2012 at 11:01, you wrote, however you say the one to got it, all I know is it was sent to you anonymously. Do you see that?
I do.
What did you mean there?
That's in response to the question that AJ asked below that. So he asked, we're going to slice this up into a highlight reel, then do some commentary on the stills, and I just say, in quotes, this just came across our desk, end quote, right. And I said, however you want to say you got it. All I know is it was sent to you anonymously. Work for you? Question mark.
Right. It is confirming that you have no idea where this came from, right?
Correct.
And at this point, again, just confirming what you said before, did you know who sent the Hulk Hogan sex tape to Mr. Valerio?
I did not.
Sitting here now, do you know who sent the Hulk Hogan sex tape to Mr. Valerio?
I do not.
Did you send the Hulk Hogan sex tape to Mr.
I did not.
Is it your understanding that by October 3rd, 2012, you were aware that Mike Calta was referring to a Hulk Hogan sex tape?
Yes.
Between September 27th and October 3rd, did you have a conversation with someone or exchange written communications with someone that caused you to realize that the significant DVD that Mike Calta was talking about was a Hulk Hogan sex tape?
I presume so from my answer.
And was it a phone call or a written communication that caused you to realize that?
It must have been a phone call. We provided with all our communications.
So is it correct to say that you had a phone call with Mike Calta sometime between or including September 27th and October 3rd where Mike Calta informed you this DVD that I'm talking about is a Hulk Hogan sex tape?
That's very recent.
Did Mike Calta say anything to you that would indicate that he had animosity of any sort towards Hulk Hogan?
They had a radio war.
So they?
Mike Calta and Hulk Hogan, they were had exchanged barbs on the air, so I presume it's part of their radio persona or radio story that they were going at each other.
Are you saying that Hulk Hogan has a radio show?
I'm not saying that Hulk Hogan has a radio show.
Are you saying that Hulk Hogan made a comment on a radio show?
I don't know where I know that Mike has made comments on his radio show. I don't know where the relationship went south for the two of them.
Did Mike Calta express to you that he wanted Gawker to post some or all of the sex tape of Hulk Hogan?
No.
Did Mike Calta ever say anything to you that would give you any information regarding the person who was sending the DVD? Any information at all?
The only information Mike Calta gave to me was that someone had called into the radio station.
Did Mike Calta send the Hulk Hogan sex tape to Gawker?
I don't believe he did.
That's the end of Mr. Burton's video. This time we introduce Plaintiff's Exhibit 230 into evidence, which is it's a single document incorporating all the emails that were referenced in this application.
Any objections to this model?
No objection.
And ladies and gentlemen, the jury, all of the different evidence that I'm receiving, all of the evidence goes back with you to the jury room at the conclusion of the trial for your deliberations, for you to consider that.
If we could take a brief break, Your Honor, and then we will probably play a television excerpt and then the videotape depositions of Emma Carmichael and John Cook.
All right, thank you. Why don't we take a brief recess while
the next two witnesses, may we approach?
what do you have next?
Your Honor, at this time, plaintiffs going to move Exhibit P225 into evidence and publish it for the jury. This is the NBC segment that was also played in the opening scene.
The objection from the defendants on plaintiff 225.
Just one thing for clarity, it's the edited version.
Yeah.
No objection.
All right, so the court will receive plaintiff 225, and you may publish.
If you know the following brand names like Gawker, Jalopnik, Gizmodo, Deadspin, Jezebel, then you may be curious to see our profile tonight of the man in charge. If none of that rings a bell, then there's a good chance you will know their work. They often give birth to the stories the folks in print and television end up chasing. It starts with the website Gawker, and it starts at the top, a guy named Nick Denton. Recently, Jamie Gangel spent some time with the man who calls himself the gossip merchant.
The stories are so sensational and outrageous, you can't ignore them. Gossip, gadgets, sports, scandal, the blogs of Gawker Media, 8 sites that have become the envy of the internet, and made this man one of the most powerful forces in media. Meet 45-year-old Nick Denton, who says the key to his success is breaking all the rules.
Here are the words most often used to describe Gawker. You tell me true, not true. Snarky.
Yeah.
Sexual.
Yeah.
Nude photos of private parts.
If it's interesting.
You report rumors. You don't always check it out.
Yeah.
Shameless.
Yes.
Irresponsible.
Defined by whom?
Mean.
Mean. Occasionally.
His victims might argue more than occasionally, but Denton is unapologetic.
Is there any place you won't go? Is there any subject that's off limits?
Our company lawyer asks me that question sometimes, and I try to... I don't like to define the answer.
So they pay for salacious scoops, publish rumors, settle lawsuits when they have to, and if they get it wrong, they simply update.
People need to get their head around the fact that the web is different, that we publish faster, we change faster, we correct faster, and frankly, our standards of publication are low. All the things that never get published and never get broadcast, those are the stories that we run. We run the offcuts, the things that you're too precious to run.
With a reputation for mischief, Denton has cultivated the image of the naughty outsider, but insists his blogs are really about the truth.
This is going to sound really, really pretentious, but I believe in the larger truth. I believe that the truth is arrived at, often in a rather messy fashion, and that gossip is part of the process, that we'll put out a story and it'll be rough and ready, and then frankly television and newspapers will kind of come and follow on like a day or two later once we've done the dirty work.
That dirty work started a decade ago when Denton moved to Manhattan and launched Gawker out of his apartment. Educated at Oxford, a former reporter for the Financial Times, Denton found young bloggers, paid them $12 a post, and had only one rule: nothing was off limits.
What was your vision for Gawker when you started?
That it should be authentic, and it should capture the real conversations, the things that people actually talk about. Our catch line is whatever we know, whatever we think.
His empire is now housed in these trendy downtown offices, complete with a roof deck for parties. And the bloggers have grown up.
You over there?
38 and 33, 37.
They're well paid.
They get health insurance?
They do.
They get a 401k plan?
They do.
And they're well educated. Harvard, Princeton, Stanford, even this.
Some of us here do have master's degrees in journalism from Columbia. He doesn't really like to brag about that part.
But they still like to promote a rogue image.
It seems that they've just updated the front page.
Within minutes of our arrival, NBC became the target.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. You know what? You're going to get no clicks.
We're living in the Gawker age, where news is driven by what will draw a crowd, or in this case, a click.
This is the most terrifying thing we have to show you here for traditional journalists, because it's as if every single week is sweeps, and the numbers tell the whole story.
It's called the Big Board, and it displays the second-by-second traffic on all of Gawker's sites. It's a popularity contest, and the bloggers know what drives traffic. Yes, there's a reason for all those cat videos.
What do you love in a story, Nick?
I love stories that tell a truth that everybody knows.
Friends are not immune. Recently, Denton received a private email from this friend at NBC, which included a critique of a certain musical guest on Saturday Night Live. Denton sent it to the editor-in-chief of Gawker, who promptly posted it.
So let's talk about Brian Williams. He sent you a private email.
Yeah.
And you burned it. Why'd you do it?
I messed up.
But this wasn't news. This is a personal email. What kind of person does this?
We publish stuff, we publish stories ahead of maintaining relationships with people without access, favor, or discretion.
So you really don't apologize for it?
For that?
Yeah.
It was a mess up internally, but no, I don't.
Anything for a story, especially one that gets a lot of clicks.
Do you care whether people respect you?
I don't need it in the short term. I'm prepared to wait for years. I like nothing better than to be proven right. And I can wait quite a long time for that.
What would you like your legacy to be?
Told the truth, the whole truth.
What would be the snarky Nick Denton legacy headline?
Dude thought he was telling the truth. Please.
Now, Your Honor, we will introduce the videotape deposition of Emma Carmichael that was taken March 5th of 2015.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please consider this videotape deposition taken of Ms. Emma Carmichael. She was sworn under oath at that time, and please consider this as you would other evidence in the case.
Ms. Carmichael, will you please raise your right hand? Thank you. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Carmichael, my name is Charles Harder. We met off the record. I represent the plaintiff, Terry DeLea, professionally known as Hulk Hogan. The oath that you just took is an oath to tell the truth, and so under the law and under penalty of perjury, you're required to tell the truth. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
What's your title?
Currently, I'm editor-in-chief of Jezebel.
And Jezebel is a website?
Jezebel is a website owned by Gawker. That's the women's website.
You're employed by Gawker Media LLC?
Yes.
And at times I may refer to Gawker Media LLC as simply Gawker, and you'll know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And sometimes I may refer to Gawker.com, and I'm referring to the website Gawker.com. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You used to work on Gawker.com?
Yes.
At times I may refer to the Gawker websites, and if I do, I'm referring to all of the Gawker affiliated websites, including Jezebel and Gawker and Deadspin and Gizmodo and Kotaku and IO9, and I think there's a couple more that I can't think of at the moment, but you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
If at any time you're unclear about if I say Gawker, please let me know that you're unclear so that we can clarify.
Okay.
When did you first start working at Gawker?
I was first employed at Gawker Media in January 2011.
And what was your title when you started?
I was the video editor at Deadspin.com.
Let's go back to your education. Did you go to college?
Yes.
And where'd you go?
I went to Vassar College.
And did you graduate?
Yes.
And what year?
2010.
And what was your degree in?
I got a degree in urban studies.
Is that a BA?
Yes.
And after Vassar, did you do other education?
No.
After Vassar, what did you do at that point?
After Vassar, I lived at home in Brattleboro, Vermont for a few months, and then I moved to New York for a job with the New York City Parks and Rec Department.
What was your job at Parks and Rec?
I was a public affairs officer. I did PR.
How long did you do that for?
I did it for about 5 months, and I was working, I was an intern for Deadspin at the time on my nights, and that turned into a full-time job, so I left the parks office for Deadspin.
So you worked at Parks and Rec in 2010, the latter half of it, I assume, or summer?
September 2010 to January 2011.
And when you were an intern at Deadspin, it was in late 2010?
I was the same still, but I was at the Parks Department.
Oh, okay. So September 2010 until the end of 2010?
Right.
How long were you a video editor and staff writer at Deadspin?
Until late 2011.
And what happened in late 2011?
AJ moved over to edit Gawker, and he asked me to be the managing editor.
AJ Delario?
Yes.
So AJ Delario in late 2011 moved over to be the editor-in-chief of Gawker.com?
Yes.
Did AJ Delario hire you to be the video editor?
Yes.
Because he was the editor-in-chief of Deadspin?
Yes.
So the entire time that you were at Deadspin, AJ Delario was your editor-in-chief?
Yes.
And did you report directly to AJ Delario?
Yes.
What did AJ Delario tell you would be entailed in being a managing editor of Gawker.com?
It was a job I knew I had to kind of figure out on my own as I got to know the staff. But the basic job was day-to-day site management, story and feature development, and assigning.
Assigning what?
Assigning stories to our staff writers.
How old were you in late 2011 when you took the job at Gawker.com?
I was 23.
Were you the number 2 person at Gawker.com?
Yes.
Did AJ Delario or anyone else give you instructions or training on how to be a managing editor of Gawker.com?
I'm not sure I can answer that yes or no. I mean, informally, sure, there was no formal training.
So informally, what sort of training did you get and who gave it to you as managing editor of Gawker.com?
I worked with AJ directly, and I learned a lot from him, and I learned also how to best serve the staff under him.
Specifically, how did AJ Delario train you to be a managing editor?
In informal conversations, in out of work.
What did AJ say to you in training you to be managing editor?
I'm not sure I could recall a direct quote or anything like that.
Can you recall anything at all?
I don't really have a sense of a direct quote that I learned from AJ. I learned a lot from him.
I'm not asking for a verbatim quote. I'm just asking for what sort of specific guidance did AJ give you, or what sort of general statement did he give you in training you to be a managing editor?
Well, my job was a lot of working directly with our staff writers and making sure they were working on the kinds of stories that they were best at. So one thing we went over a few times was the current staff that we had and how they would be best served by our editorial staff. And so from day one, I would say my training was learning how to best work with our staff writers.
Other than that, do you recall any specific training that A.J. Delario gave you to be managing editor, or any general statements that he ever said to you in training you?
No.
After you stopped being managing editor at Gawker.com, what was your next position?
I was managing editor of Deadspin.com.
And how long did that last for?
That lasted, I believe, I can't say exactly, I believe about 4 months.
And what was your position at Gawker after that?
I left Gawker after that position.
Where'd you go?
I went to run a website called The Hairpin that's owned by a company called The All.
How do you spell the all?
AWL.
And when did that happen?
May 2013.
And how long did you work at Hairspin? Did I get that right?
The Hairpin.
Hairpin.
I worked there until August 2014.
So a little over a year?
Yeah.
And then August 2014, where did you go?
I was in between jobs for about 1 month, and then I returned to Gawker in September 2014.
Gawker.com?
Sorry, to Jezebel.com.
You became editor-in-chief of Jezebel?
Yes.
And you've been editor-in-chief of Jezebel.com ever since September 2014?
Right. Yes.
Let's go back to when you were managing editor at Gawker.com. I'll mark an exhibit. This will be 140. Have you ever seen an email that was sent from somebody to tips@Gawker.com?
Yes.
And what was tips@Gawker.com?
Tips@Gawker.com is an email list that all of the staff writers and staff members are on, and it's a resource for tipsters or just interested readers to send us stories that we might want to publish on the site.
So if somebody in the outside world sends an email to tips@Gawker.com, it goes to every single staff writer and editor at Gawker.com?
Yes.
Were you at Gawker.com in March of 2012?
Yes.
How many editors and staff writers were at Gawker.com at the time, approximately?
Approximately 10. I don't recall the exact number.
So did tips@Gawker.com just go to those 10, or did it go to other people as well?
As far as I know, it went to our staff.
So all 10 of those people?
Yes.
Because you were at the company in March of 2012, did you receive the emails that are Exhibit 140 at that time?
Yes.
So prior to the posting by Gawker of the Hulk Hogan sex video at Gawker.com, what do you recall discussing with A.J. Delario?
I recall that we received the video when he was on vacation, and we spoke briefly while he was still on vacation about the video, and then we had follow-up conversations as he was writing the post. So
tell me the first thing you remember. A video comes in to the office?
Yes, I believe he received it at his desk, and I received instructions from him to open it.
So a package appears on A.J. Delario's desk, and then you talk to A.J. Delario and he tells you, please open it?
As best as I can remember, yes.
And you opened it?
Yes.
And then what did you do?
I watched maybe a minute or two of the video, and then I told him I'd seen it, and I waited until I had further instructions from him.
So when you opened the package, what did you see?
A single DVD in a case.
Was there a letter or a note or anything of any kind?
No.
Did the DVD have anything written on it?
I don't recall.
And then you took the DVD and you put it into a desktop computer, I assume?
Yes.
Do you recall A.J. Delario giving instructions to Kate Bennett on how to cut the video?
Yes.
So when you were talking to Kate Bennett about the video, what can you recall saying to her and what do you recall her saying to you?
I can recall after speaking with AJ about how we would edit it, that we were going to cut it down significantly, and that we would include some active sex and also some conversation between the two.
Do you recall that the ultimate video that was posted to Gawker.com showed full frontal nudity of Hulk Hogan?
Yes.
And was that something that you discussed with Kate Bennett, that it should include that?
I don't recall.
Do you recall that the video that was posted to Gawker.com showed Hulk Hogan receiving oral sex?
Yes.
And do you recall any conversations with anybody about including that footage into the video?
I don't recall.
Do you recall that the video that was posted to Gawker.com had footage of sexual intercourse by Hulk Hogan with his partner?
Yes.
Do you recall at least 2 different positions of sexual intercourse in that video?
I don't recall.
Do you recall having conversations with anyone in the office about including footage of Hulk Hogan having sexual intercourse in the video?
Yes.
And what do you recall?
I recall that once we had the video, we knew if we were going to publish it that we wanted to include the story, and part of the story included sexual intercourse. And it was decided that would be included in the video.
This will be 142. Please take a moment to familiarize yourself with Exhibit 142. I'm not going to ask you to read every single word in it, but just familiarize yourself so that I can ask some general questions. Are you familiar with what this document is?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's transcripts from Campfire, which is a chat platform that we use to discuss stories amongst Gawker staff.
Turning one page to the page Gawker 1539_C. Do you see in the top quarter, A.J. Delario says his penis is also wearing a do-rag too. Do you see that?
Yes.
That's A.J. Delario, the editor-in-chief of Gawker.com.
Yes.
That statement. And then there's a picture of somebody's penis here.
Yes, I see that.
Was it common in the Campfire chats to post nudity?
No, I wouldn't say it was common.
Do you know whose penis is being depicted here?
No.
Do you see under that picture, Jim Cook says, does he have blonde silky pubes?
Yes.
Turning to the next page, about 2/3 of the way down, this is Gawker 1544_C. Emma C., that's you, says, hello, brief editorial policy is do not talk about Hulk Hogan or his sex tape while our legal department processes his giant, and then you have a space or a return, and then you say lawsuit. See that?
Yes.
Were you making a reference to his anatomy as well as to his lawsuit?
Yes, I was making a stupid joke.
Did you think it was funny that Hulk Hogan was suing over a sex tape?
No, I didn't think that was funny.
Did you think it was funny that a sex tape of Hulk Hogan was posted to the internet?
The video itself?
Yes.
No.
Did you think it was funny that Gawker.com showed his penis, and A.J. Delario commented in his post about how large his penis is?
May I speak to the humor a little bit more?
Go ahead.
I thought AJ did a good job of doing a balancing act between acknowledging the absurdity of the act and how it contrasts with our ideas of celebrity sex. And if that included some narrative embellishments and exaggerations, then that was included in the post.
So you thought that Gawker's post that accompanied the Hulk Hogan sex video was good?
Yes.
And you thought that Gawker.com posting the Hulk Hogan sex video was good?
Yeah, I was very comfortable with the way we framed the story and the context we gave the story.
But besides the story, I'm talking about the video. You think that it was a good thing that Gawker.com posted the Hulk Hogan sex video?
I think Gawker's not in the business of holding back information that we have for our readers, and this was a case where we published the information that we had and that included the video.
And you think it was a good thing that Gawker.com posted the video of Hulk Hogan having sex, correct?
In the context of the story and the context we gave it, yes.
And if you had it to do over again, would Gawker.com post the Hulk Hogan sex video?
If history repeated itself, yes.
What are the issues that Jezebel writes about?
We write about many things, loosely organized under the term women's issues.
Women's rights?
Yes, sometimes.
Feminism?
Yes.
Are you familiar with revenge porn?
Yes.
What is it?
If I were to define it, it would be porn used to punish a woman.
Or a man?
Or a man, sure.
And how is porn used to punish somebody?
Tapes recorded against someone's will or released against someone's will.
And are you aware that states around the country have been passing laws against revenge porn?
Yes.
Are you anti-revenge porn or pro-revenge porn?
I'm anti-revenge porn.
You think it's wrong, right?
Yes.
Do you know who sent the Hulk Hogan sex video to Gawker?
No.
Do you know that it was not somebody engaged in revenge porn?
I don't know.
Did anyone at Gawker make any effort to try to find that out?
I don't know.
Do you know if anyone at Gawker made any effort to find out who had sent the video to Gawker?
I don't know.
Do you know if anyone at Gawker made any effort to find out why the person sent the video to Gawker?
I don't know.
Do you know if anyone at Gawker made any effort to find out if Hulk Hogan had approved of the release of the sex video?
I can't recall.
Was it assumed at Gawker that he did not approve the release of the sex video?
Yes.
The camera was from a very high point of view, correct?
Yes.
And the camera appeared to be fairly far away from the bed, correct?
As best as I can recall, yes.
Of the video that you saw, did you ever see Hulk Hogan or the female look into the camera?
From what I saw, no, they did not.
I'll represent to you that there was a front page story in the Tampa Bay Times a few months ago. Front page. An employer in the Tampa area filmed his female employees showering and in the bathroom. Newsworthy story, correct?
Yes.
If the video was sent to the Tampa Bay Times, do you think it would be appropriate for the Tampa Bay Times to play the video on its website?
To post it on its website?
Yes.
Perhaps with proper censorship.
What kind of censorship?
Blurring, changing voices, that kind of thing.
Did Gawker.com blur any aspect of the Hulk Hogan sex video?
No, we did not.
Is there a reason why not?
Yeah, I think we're rarely in the business of obscuring information that we are reporting. And once we knew we were publishing the video, taking that measure didn't seem like a necessary step.
I didn't mean to bury Exhibit 141, but if you wouldn't mind finding it, it's probably right under 142. I think it's this one.
Yes.
The first page are some emails that pertain to a letter from David Houston, and then the second page is the letter from David Houston, who is an attorney on behalf of Terry Bollea, professionally known as Hulk Hogan, sent to Gawker Media and Nick Denton. Do you see that?
Yes.
And if you go back to the first page, the exchange of emails from everybody was dated October 5th, 2012. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you recall that the sex video was posted on October 4th, 2012?
Yes.
So the day after the sex video was posted, Hulk Hogan's lawyer sends a cease and desist letter saying, take that video down. Do you see?
Yes.
Do you recall any conversations at the office at all that Hulk Hogan's lawyer was demanding removal of the sex video?
I recall that I knew we had received a cease and desist letter, but I don't recall how I knew that.
Did you ever take a look at the cease and desist letter at the time it came in?
I don't recall.
As managing editor of Gawker.com, it's something that you would see, you would typically see a cease and desist letter.
Yes.
So, do you think you received this one at the time it came in?
Well, I can see I wasn't on this email, so if I did see it, it might have been on AJ's computer.
Do you recall anyone ever talking about this cease and desist demand?
I recall talking about it with the staff a little bit, that we had received it, and with AJ.
Did you have any conversations with anybody else other than AJ Delario about the cease and desist demand?
I remember acknowledging to the staff that we had received it.
The staff of 10 people?
Yes.
So how did you acknowledge? You talked to 10 people, or did you send a written communication?
Likely in Campfire, our chat room.
Campfire chat room is the same thing?
Yes, sir.
I didn't see it in the Campfire exchange. I'm going to ask you to take a look around October 5th and October 6th to see if you sent any communications to your staff regarding Hulk Hogan's cease and desist demand.
Oh, I see I referenced it on October 15th. Just must see what I'm remembering.
Can you tell me, October 15th, so 10 days later?
Right.
Did you send a communication to the Gawker.com staff at any time between October 5th and October 14th, 2012?
I don't recall.
But you sent a communication to the Gawker staff on October 15th, 2012, which was 10 days after the cease and desist demand came in?
Correct.
And would you mind pointing me to the page and section?
Yes, it's the line you read earlier. It's Gawker 01544_C.
Okay, so your communication as managing editor of Gawker.com to the Gawker.com staff regarding the Hulk Hogan cease and desist demand was, hello, brief editorial policy is do not talk about Hulk Hogan or his sex tape while our legal department processes his giant hard return lawsuit. Correct?
That's an example I can remember. There may have been other communication, but I don't recall.
Are you familiar with the date that Hulk Hogan filed the lawsuit against Gawker Media?
I don't recall the exact date.
Do you recall it was October 15th, 2012? I can represent to you that the day the lawsuit was filed was October 15th, 2012. Within a week of that date, Gawker was editing a second Hulk Hogan sex video, correct?
Yes.
Let's talk about the big board first. What's the big board?
It includes a screen in the office. You can also do it on your computer or desktop that shows the most popular stories throughout the blog network in a given day or minute.
Does it reset itself daily?
It resets itself. It's in real time.
So if there was a popular story yesterday, and if it remained a popular story, then it could still stay on the big board?
Yes.
Oh, is it real time in terms of internet users who are on the Gawker media sites at that moment?
Yeah, so it's for a given page, it's how many concurrent visitors are on that page at that moment.
What I'm focused on is Gawker Media's emphasis that comes from the highest ranks. Don't they place a large emphasis on driving as much traffic as possible to the Gawker sites?
In the sense that we are successful based on the audience that we attract and the kind of stories that we publish. We're encouraged to publish stories that appeal to a broad audience, and sometimes that means hitting traffic marks. Sometimes it means publishing work that we're really proud of that doesn't do traffic, quote unquote.
So there are traffic marks?
There are, but the site leads keep a general sense of month to month for monthly visitors.
What's a site lead? Is that an editor-in-chief?
I'm sorry, yes.
So when you were at Gawker.com, AJ Delario was the site lead, correct?
Yes.
Did he talk about the need to drive as much traffic as possible to Gawker.com? I'm not quoting him. Did he talk about that issue?
Yes, sure.
That was an important part of what Gawker.com was about, correct?
Gawker.com aims to attract readers, and that means traffic, yes.
This will be Exhibit 147. January 1st, 2013, you were at Gawker.com still?
I can't recall the exact date. I might have been switching over to Dustin. Oh, but yes, let's see.
January 1st, 2013, were you still at Gawker.com?
Yes.
And did you write this story that is Exhibit 147?
Yes.
It says by Emma Carmichael, correct?
Yes.
And the headline is the 100 most popular Gawker stories of 2012, or what discerning internet readers clicked on the most, correct?
Yes.
Why did you write this story, Exhibit 147?
We do this annually. It's basically just a way to look back on the year and what got people interested in Gawker stories.
Because you were focused on web traffic?
No. In fact, if we were to publish a post that said, here's what we were proudest of in 2012, it would probably look different.
So, are you saying that you were not proudest of these particular stories?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a different measurement.
Let's take a look at the first story. Number one is, turn the page to Gawker 266. And it says, these topless photos of Kate Middleton put us at 2 for 3 on Royal Nudie Pics Scandals. NSFW meaning not safe for work. You see that?
Yes.
In 2012, Gawker posted photos of Duchess Kate Middleton topless.
Yes.
And that was the #1 story of the year?
That was the most trafficked story of the year.
Got the most web traffic?
Yes.
And then there's number 2, I am Adam Lanza's mother. And then there's number 3, even for a minute watching Hulk Hogan have sex in a canopy bed is not safe for work, but watch it anyway. You see that?
Yes.
And that's the AJ Delario post from October 4, 2012?
Yes.
So that was the 3rd most clicked on story of 2012 at Gawker.com?
Assuming this is listed in order, yes.
Do you have any reason to believe it's not listed in order?
No, I don't.
Do you think that the Hulk Hogan story might have been number 1 or number 2?
I don't recall. If it's listed as third here, it's likely the number 3.
Kate Middleton, topless, which even says royal nudie pic scandals, and Hulk Hogan having sex are articles about scandal, correct?
Yes.
An article about nudity?
Yes.
And have imagery about nudity?
Yes.
And Hulk Hogan's has video of actual sexual intercourse, correct?
Yes.
The reference to royal boobs and sex tapes, do you see that in the first 4 words of the article at 147?
Yes.
Did you write royal boobs, comma, sex tapes?
Yes.
And you were referring to Duchess Kate Middleton, who was photographed topless, and Hulk Hogan, who was taped having sex, and Gawker posted it?
Yes.
So those were the 2 leading stories that you wanted to highlight in your article on January 1st, 2013?
That's how I wrote it.
So I'm going to continue reading on Exhibit 149. The sentence says, Gawker scored with royal breasts and this month, Hulk sex. You see that?
Yes.
Nick Denton was boasting about Gawker receiving a lot of web traffic because of 2 stories. One being topless photos of Duchess Kate Middleton, and the second being the Hulk Hogan sex video from that month, October 2012, correct?
He was acknowledging it, yes.
And he actually wrote this on October 10, which was 5 days after Hulk Hogan's lawyer sent a cease and desist letter to remove the video, correct?
Correct.
And this was 5 days before Hulk Hogan filed the lawsuit against Gawker Media, which was October 15, correct?
Correct.
And then skipping down to the next paragraph, it says, each site hit target in September. The group audience is at an all-time high, 41.9 million worldwide in the last 30 days, correct?
Yes.
Nick Denton is boasting about the web traffic at the Gawker Media websites in this sentence, correct?
He's acknowledging that we hit target that month and that audience is at an all-time high.
That's the conclusion of Ms. Carmichael's deposition. And then next we will introduce the videotape deposition of John Cook, which was taken on April 15th of 2015. Before we start that, we would like to move into evidence plaintiff's exhibits P118, P119, P130, P127.
Those were the exhibits displayed in the video deposition. No objection.
All right, thank you. The court will receive plaintiff 118, 119, 130, and 127. All right, Mr. Burton, go ahead. And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please consider this video deposition taken of Mr. Cook on April 15th. He was sworn at the time, 2015, as you would other evidence.
Will the court order Phil Visconti of Merrill Legal Solutions please swear in the witness?
Sir, can you raise your right hand for me, please? You solemnly swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, so help you God.
And then what was your next employment after you were a freelancer in 2008?
Spring of 2009, I joined Gawker.
Okay, and what was your job title when you joined Gawker?
I believe it was investigative editor for Gawker.com.
And can you explain for me what an investigative editor at Gawker at that time did?
I was a reporter. I wrote and reported stories.
Any particular areas of interest?
No, not really anything could have been fall under my
And is there a particular reason that you decided to go and work at Gawker in 2009?
I was a fan of the site. I was an admirer of Nick Denton's, and I thought it was a place where the kind of reporting that I do could be, sort of well suited.
How long were you at Gawker after you began working there in March of 2009?
I believe about a year, a little over a year.
Okay. And where did you go after that?
Yahoo News.
Okay. And how long did you work at Yahoo News?
Somewhere around 8 months.
Okay. And what was your title at Yahoo News?
Senior national reporter, if I recall correctly.
Okay. And what duties did you have as senior national reporter at Yahoo News?
I was a writer and a reporter.
Where did you go, sir, after you completed your stint at Yahoo News?
Gawker.
So you went back to Gawker?
Correct.
Okay. And why did you choose to do that?
I wanted to return to Gawker and they offered me a job.
Okay. And that occurred approximately when?
Judging by the date of this story, it must have been around September of 2010.
When you returned to Gawker after your stint at Yahoo News, how long were you there?
From 2010 until March of 2013.
Okay. And during that time, forgive me if you told me, what was your job title?
I believe at that time I was just a reporter or senior reporter, something like that. I don't think I was going by the investigations editor or investigative editor moniker at that point. Well, wait. Yeah, so when I returned, I was a reporter, and then I became editor-in-chief at some point.
And just returning to your job history, you were elevated, as you just said in your previous answer, to editor-in-chief in February of 2013?
That's my recollection.
Okay. And have you been at Gawker continuously since that time?
I have not.
Okay. And when did you leave Gawker?
Roughly March of 2014.
Okay. And where did you go?
First Look Media.
Okay. And what was your title at First Look Media?
I was the editor-in-chief of a website called The Intercept.
Okay. And what kind of a website was The Intercept?
The Intercept was an investigative website focusing on national security and criminal justice.
And when did you leave your position at Intercept?
December 31 of 2014.
Okay. And where did you go?
Gawker.
Okay. And what is your current title? You've been working at Gawker continuously since then?
Yes.
And what is your current title?
Executive editor for investigations, Gawker Media.
Sporty. And what are your job duties?
I oversee investigative projects and reporting projects for all of the Gawker Media websites.
Is there something in the newsroom at Gawker called the Big Board?
Yes.
And what's the Big Board?
The Big Board is a television screen that displays a list of stories organized by the number of concurrent users on each post, with the post with the top number of concurrent users at the top, and then the next 20 or so stories ranked by number of concurrent users.
And when you use the term users, does that mean viewers, readers to the website?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a different definition that you were thinking of when you use the word users?
There's a variety of terms that people use when they talk about web analytics and traffic, but it means people reading the site right now. That's what concurrent users means. Reading a post right now.
So do you generally believe that it is appropriate for a website to post photos of an individual who is naked and sexually aroused?
It certainly could be, yes.
Do you think it's appropriate to post sexually explicit naked photos of individuals who have not given their consent?
It can be appropriate, yes.
Okay, and under what circumstances could that be appropriate?
When those images are newsworthy.
Do you remember subsequent conversations with Mr. DeLorio about the topic of the Hulk Hogan sex video?
I recall one conversation.
When was that?
I don't recall when it was.
Can you give me any sense for when it was? Was it when you were still a reporter, when you were editor-in-chief?
It would have been when I was still a reporter, it would have been when AJ was still there.
Okay, and what was the content of that?
I asked him what the source of the video was and if we paid for the video. And he wouldn't tell me who the source was, and he said we did not pay for the video.
Did he ever indicate whether he knew who the source was and would not tell you, or he just didn't tell you?
He just didn't tell me.
Did he, or anyone else for that matter, ever discuss with you any investigations that Gawker might have done to try to determine the origin of the video, where it came from?
No.
Do you know of any investigations being done by Gawker to try to determine where the video came from?
No.
Okay. Do you think that it would be unusual if Gawker received a video of this nature and did not attempt to investigate what the source was?
AJ knows who the source was or not. So he might know, I don't know.
And what is a campfire transcript?
Campfire is a chat tool that we used at Gawker to communicate with one another.
Is that similar to an IM type of system?
It is, but it's a group. So there's a chat room that everybody who's authorized to enter the room can write into.
Okay. And do you recall what campfire chat transcripts you looked at, what they related to?
They were discussions over a wide variety of timeframes that mentioned Hulk Hogan and that I participated in.
Let's take a look at what we have marked. It's actually, so the next one, we're done with that one that's in front of you. Yeah, it's the following one, it's 226. Do you know what this document is?
It appears to be transcripts of campfire chats.
If you could turn for me to the next page, which is Gawker 1537. Do you see at the bottom of the page, the second to last entry, it says John C.
I do.
Okay, and what is that a reference to?
John Coke.
And that's you?
It is.
Okay. And do you have any idea, your writing says WTF is the Daily Caller supposed to be, and then there's a link to a website. Do you know what that was a reference to?
WTF is an acronym for what the fuck. Okay. And the question is, what the fuck is the Daily Caller supposed to be? The link, I presume, I don't know what the link is in reference to. I presume it is in reference to a piece that the Daily Caller published that somehow referred to or made a joke about or inferenced a Megan Fox sex tape.
Okay. And then Megan C replies to you, whatever they are, they got the Megan Fox sex tape, while you're about to post the Hulk Hogan sex tape. It goes over onto the next page. Do you see that?
I do.
And then if we go down, just skipping the middle section, there's an entry by Kate B, and this is on 1538.
Mm-hmm.
It says, you guys don't even know how good this Hulk Hogan tape is. F Megan Fox. And then Max R replies, Hulk Hogan F's Megan Fox.
And Max R replies?
Hulk Hogan F-U-C-K's Megan Fox. Sorry, I don't really like to say the words on the record. And then Katie W. says she wishes. He gets really tender at the end. Do you see that section?
I do.
Who is Kate B?
Kate Bennett.
Okay, and who is Max R?
Max Reed.
Okay, and Max Reed's role at Gawker was?
I believe at the time he was news editor.
And Katie W., have we talked about who she is?
I don't know if we have. It's Katie Weaver.
Okay, who was she?
She was a writer.
Okay. And in this exchange, Max R. writes a really tender leg drop. Do you know what that's a reference to?
It's a joke.
Okay. And is it a joke about Mr. Hogan?
It's the extension of a joke about so the joke is, I'll explain the joke.
Sure, yeah, that's fine, thank you.
So the Daily Caller, which is a news and a right-leaning conservative news and politics website, published something regarding the Megan Fox sex tape, which I don't believe exists. I think it was a joke or somehow some kind of high concept commentary somehow. But I put that in to Campfire because I found it odd and wanted my colleagues to know about it. Adrian said, referenced the fact that we were about to publish a Hulk Hogan sex tape, and Kate, who had seen Hulk Hogan's sex tape, says, "Oh, the Hulk's, in a joking way, the Hulk Hogan sex tape is better than Megan Fox sex tape, which I don't believe exists." Max jokingly, willfully misinterprets that to suggest that Hulk Hogan was engaging in sex with Megan Fox, but as a joke to sort of illustrate, sort of behave stupidly. And then there's an ongoing discussion about what that sex tape that doesn't exist would be like, and because Hulk Hogan is a wrestler, Max is making a joking reference to his, including wrestling moves in this fictitious liaison with Megan Fox.
Okay. And would you characterize this as making jokes about Mr. Hogan?
I would characterize it as workplace humor. It's talking in a jocular way about the work we're doing.
So it's humor about Mr. Hogan?
It's humor about the fact that we're about to publish a sex tape of Mr. Hogan. It's workplace joking around.
Okay, but there's specific references to, wrestling moves that Mr. Hogan was famous for. Is that correct?
Yes, there's specific reference to Megan Fox as well.
Okay. Did anyone ever express any concern to you about Mr. Hogan's emotional distress relating to the publication of his sex video? I'm just asking you whether you ever considered the fact that the publication of a sex video of Mr. Hogan having sex in a private bedroom could potentially cause emotional distress to Mr. Hogan.
The answer to that question is no.
If you can turn to the next page, which is 1539. If I can just direct your attention to starting, I'm trying to go as fast as we have limited time today. So there is an entry by A.J. Delario, A.J.D., about a third of the way down the page, and Mr. Delario says his penis is also wearing a little do-rag too. Do you see that?
I do.
Do you know if you participated in this conversation?
It appears that I did.
Okay, and do you have any recollection of it?
I do not have any recollection of it.
Okay, and do you know what Mr. Delario...
Well, I mean, reading this has refreshed my recollection.
Okay. And what do you recall this conversation was about?
Well, based on the transcript in front of me, it was a discussion about It's a discussion about AJ's experience of watching the tape. It's one place you can hear about that.
Okay. And the screenshot that's in the middle of that page, that's something that you posted?
It is.
Okay, and what is that a screenshot of?
That's a screenshot of from Andrew Sullivan's blog.
And what is the photo of?
The photo is a photograph that Andrew Sullivan posted on his blog of an uncircumcised penis.
Okay, and is there a reason that you were posting this on the Campfire system?
In a prior chat, we had been joking about a really what we found to be a rather odd and unpleasant image of an uncircumcised penis that Andrew Sullivan posted to the front page of his blog in the context of a post opposing the practice of male circumcision. It had become a topic of several sort of jokes and back and forth over why he would post an image like that on the front page of his website. When AJ posted a joke about Hulk Hogan's penis wearing a little do-rag, which is a bandana like Mr. Hogan wears on his head, that called to mind this image from a prior discussion, which I think looked perhaps to me a little bit like a penis wearing a do-rag, and I put that in as a joke, sort of reference to AJ's joke.
Okay. Was it common at Gawker to share pictures of penises with colleagues? Is that something that happened on a regular basis?
No.
Well, I'm sure that that's true. At Gawker, was it that was considered appropriate in your mind to send colleagues a picture of a penis?
So this was published on the internet on one of them.
No, I'm asking for a yes or a no. I'm not asking you.
Was it appropriate for me to put this image into Campfire as a joke? Yes, I believe.
Okay.
It's the conclusion of Mr. Cook's honor. I think that would be done for today.
Thank you. So that concludes our business for today. So please, ladies and gentlemen, remember the rules. Don't go on any website, chat room, don't talk to anybody, don't do your own research about the people or parties involved in this case. We'll see you again tomorrow. Please come at 9 o'clock and we'll start tomorrow at 9. Thank you all so very much.